Alright, look, you can do this. You are talented. You can overcome any one of those injuries to make those fans proud. Kevin, mate, you're a mascot. Genuinely no one cares. Allow me, man.
También la familia, los jugadores. Y bueno, ahí está. Lucho, el aguilucho. Solito, como él. A ver, en serio. A ver.
Oh, God, I was wrong. My knee's gone again. Oh, God, the pain. The mascot head, it was too heavy for my body. I told him he should have just gone into finance with me, but no. Yo guys, it is your boy Niren here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, there's a huge snowstorm on its way to the UK, ready to double fist the entire country.
What is going on here?
Hey, listen, Met Office, don't threaten me with a good time. Global warming really has gone too far on this occasion, I've got to say. Members of the general public will be left confused when the snowstorm tells them to get down on all fours. The Met Office has replied, confirmed they don't usually use this language. Meanwhile, the weatherman was left baffled when he read tonight's auto cue. Now, this week saw FIFA's The Best Awards, honouring the best players, goals and coaches from the year, which is why Lionel Messi won it in 2024 for a World Cup he won in 2022.
But not. Well, it's not. It's not relevant, is it?
Lionel picked up the award after 21 goals for PSG and 11 for Inter Miami, featuring a disappointing Champions League campaign but silverware in the US. This guy's still going to be winning personal accolades for a World Cup win in 2057. Leo wasn't actually in attendance for the award. He didn't go because he didn't think he was going to win. I don't think he even knew if he was invited.
And the Oscar goes to
Lionel Messi.
The award for hip hop rap grime act goes to
Lionel Messi.
And your Venezuelan agricultural and farming award winner is it's Lionel Messi. But he wasn't the best player of the year according to the Caribbean island of Montserrat, who voted for Declan Rice. What in the long grain basmati are they cooking over there? His speech would have had to been improvised if he did win.
Rice, baby. All right, stop.
Meanwhile, Edison won the best goalkeeper award, but wasn't featured in the FIFA Team of the Year, and neither was Rodri, who clearly plays garden bowls according to them.
Que nos ha tocado, el que nos merecemos.
I'll be honest, this squad stinks. This has to have been picked by Steve McManaman. Pep Guardiola was asked which of his Man City or Barcelona squads was better. He clearly found this one a little bit difficult to answer. Meanwhile, Thierry Henry still found the time to banter Tottenham fans.
You're a Tottenham fan, right?
Yeah, are you going to say something?
No, so that's the other reason, because you don't usually get your hands on the trophy, so I'll take this one.
There was box office football between Spurs and Manchester United that ended in a 2-2 draw and a points shared this week. This one was absolute cinema, though I felt like I was being forced to watch said cinema with some of the players on show on the pitch. A goal for Richarlison and for Rasmus Højlund. Tell you what, if Timo Werner gets on the score sheet, this is a Make-A-Wish campaign. There was no chance of that, though, with Timo's finishing. He even missed the huddle before the game started. But in fairness, did pick up an assist this season before Anthony did, having only arrived about 35 minutes ago. I'm telling you now, if Anthony didn't know how to do an elastico, he'd be working in a laser quest by now. No, Ant, you can't do a 360 no-scope in here, for God's sake. For Rasmus Højlund, though, and his goals tally in 2024 is looking pretty decent versus Erling Haaland. I'm starting to realise Erling might be a little bit of a fraud in 2024. Meanwhile, at the other end of the pitch, and Andre Onana was left with an Afcon conundrum. He played this match against Spurs, conceded twice, and then had the plan to go out and play for Cameroon the next day in the Ivory Coast. I mean, what was he expecting to do? He was having to leave at half-time to catch his flight. He might as well have left his Cameroon shirt on underneath. His suitcase was at the far post for a corner, ready to go. But it wasn't long before Andre realised the task in front of him, trying to Google Maps his journey to West Africa. But his flight was unfortunately delayed, and I can't imagine Erik ten Hag was too pleased finding out that information, and that he might be staying at United. Yep, this man suffered some severe travel trouble. The man can barely catch a flight. He 100% turns up at an airport 45 minutes before, by the way. Ooh, la, la, la. Ooh, la, la, la. It resulted in a 150-mile car journey as he was left stranded in the Ivory Coast. At least he's prepared for the car already, though. Only for him to arrive and realise that he's not even in the squad. Honestly, advantage Cameroon. Or you'd think so, but then they went and drew versus 10-man Guinea. Onana was, though, present in the stadium, getting PTSD to his goalkeeping display in the Tottenham game. At the other end, though, in this one, Marcus Rashford scored and celebrated by silencing the haters. His brother got in on the act from prison as well. Gary Neville was criticising Tottenham's defence for this one and until Christian Romero came in and dealt with him. For Ten Hag in its 10th place and a whole lot more pressure, a draw v Tottenham isn't a terrible result, but it's crunch time for him now, especially without a #1 goalkeeper. Well, more of like a 1.5 really. Another man heading out of Manchester is Jadon Sancho, but for a little bit longer this time, as he left Old Trafford to return back to Borussia Dortmund on loan till the end of the season. Things got pretty violent as Jadon left Manchester United's training ground for one last time, seeing Erik Ten Hag in the car park. Borussia Dortmund gassed this one up with a Michael Jordan announcement. But honestly, guys, Bundesliga stocks will be at an all-time low if he goes back there and slaps it up. He was filmed during his medical, which he ended up being late for.
Latest medical check ever. I'm sorry, guys, I'm sorry.
Erik Ten Hag is fuming. Borussia Dortmund got more apologies out of him in 6 seconds than he did in 6 months. But a 0% attendance on your own medical is nuts, by the way. Yeah, sorry, Jadon. You missed your appointment, G. He was left panicking, waking up at 11:57 p.m. for his midday medical. He posted on Insta about returning back to Dortmund, to which Marcus Rashford showed his love in the comments section. Ten Hag's head is gonna be steaming seeing this comment, and it's resulted in Anthony Martial getting banished from first team training, caught in the crossfire of his anger towards Marcus.
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
Everyone was commenting on this, by the way, from Jude Bellingham to Erling Haaland. Jadon was posting like he's finally out of a toxic relationship and ready to head out to brunch with the girlies. Honestly, girls, more like Eric 10 centimeters. You tell him, girl. Work it. It was a strong return to Dortmund as well, setting up a goal fresh off the bench, but he still couldn't escape criticism. I'm glad Eric's trip to Germany went well then, but when he does inevitably come back from his 20-goal contribution loan spell, he still won't be welcome in Erik Ten Hag's office.
Fuck off.
Now, speaking of Englishmen leaving the Premier League for Germany, and Eric Dier is heading over to Bayern. Alright, what the fuck is all this about then? Do Bayern actually want to win the Bundesliga? Choupo-Moting's got a contender for best agent in the world right now.
How'd you fluke that one?
Giving Bayern Eric Dier is like giving Pep Guardiola an Afro comb. What is he gonna do with it? It didn't stop Eric being excited at his own medical, joyous at the prospect of trophies, though Harry Kane was less excited seeing his former teammate walk through the door.
A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
Apparently, Eric doesn't want to move in with Harry Kane upon moving to Germany, and it's no surprise. He can't even make himself a tea because there's no cups to lift in the flat. Honestly, mate, even a mug will do. No! Tottenham fans were remembering him for taking a shit mid-game. He'd do the same in Germany, go to wash his hands, and then find out what the German word for bathroom sink is.
For me, I can't do it.
You can!
Time though now for a favourite segment to return. It's your Afcon roundup. The greatest tournament in football history has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. A competition full of drama, unpredictability, and medical experts running over their own players. A celebration of African culture, flamboyant fans, and in the spirit of FTW, carnage. There's only one place to start from the online world though, and that's this Mauritania lineup with an interesting inclusion. An AK-47. They're saying he's deadly in front of goal. A lethal striker. This is the killer that Ian Wright was asking for. How can your name be AK-47? The guy must be half American, mate. Imagine being the other goalkeeper seeing an automatic machine gun arrive on the team sheet. This is Abu Bakar Kamara, who used to play for Fulham. His initials are obviously AK and his shirt number at Fulham was 47. Thankfully though, for his opponents, he was decommissioned 29 minutes in. I can't wait for ballistic air missile to line up top for Namibia. A slightly different Afcon storyline though when him and his boys walk out of the tunnel here. Nigeria star Victor Osimhen had fans come from far and wide as Napoli supporters travelled all the way from Italy to the Ivory Coast just to get a picture with him. Elsewhere in the Super Eagles squad, and Ahmed Musa will genuinely be present at the African Cup of Nations until he's 68. Meanwhile, in our do-or-die tie or game against the Côte d'Ivoire, one commentator was getting a little bit excited.
I would love to see Iwobi, close to Osimhen. He's a player that can hold the ball and he can give those sexy penetration passes.
Why are you gay?
This guy, he forgot he's on TV, bro. In the end, the scoreline was 1-0 here thanks to a Trust Ekong penalty. If the Ivory Coast had just brought on Chris MD, they wouldn't have lost the game. And he would have been having fun in the changing rooms as well. Now, you look at this screenshot the Visa posted, and it looks like it's full of Afcon upsets. But truthfully, this is just a normal day at the office for this competition. Mozambique were attending their first Afcon since 2010 and managed to grab a draw versus Egypt. They would have won as well if not for a last-minute Salah penalty. Liverpool fans had mixed feelings seeing Mo score and potentially stay in the competition for longer, but the Egyptian king is still looking up at Mozambique in this group. Another giant killing came in the form of Namibia, who left it late to beat Tunisia with an 87th minute header against one of the tournament's favourites. Angola brought the vibes as they arrived for their first African Cup of Nations game and managed to grab themselves a 1-1 draw against another strong opponent in Algeria. Meanwhile, for Cape Verde, they recruited their defender Roberto Lopez through LinkedIn for this tournament and then went and beat Ghana 2-1. Whilst behind, they could have expected some halftime motivation like this from Abdul Baba Rahman.
This is Tumba, and we take the 3 points. We know they will come hard, but we fight on 4. Come on. 1, 2, 4.
I mean, look, listen, I don't mean to judge, but if he's missing out 3 in his count to 4, he's not going to get them that motivated. The motivation was still present in the crowd, though, as this Ghana fan was giving it full beans. But elsewhere for Ghana, and there's the story of Abdul Fatawu, a young 19-year-old winger who's playing for Leicester in the Championship. He apparently turned down the opportunity to play at Afcon so that he could stay in the team and help Leicester to promotion. To me, turning down your country is absolutely mental, especially as a 19-year-old. Well, calm a bit as he was sent off for a nasty lunge against Coventry, which now keeps him suspended for league games until the day before Afcon ends. So he might as well have gone with them after all. There's also a curious case at Nigeria where Umar Sadiq went home from the tournament injured, only to go and play for Real Sociedad 5 days later. We've got live scenes of him faking the injury on the way back here. I mentioned Algeria briefly. There's been a weird situation going on for them, as they're conscious there may well be some spying going on. They found a drone flying overhead during one of their training sessions. Houssem Aouar took it upon himself to get that drone out of there. Who knows what intel some of their opponents might be getting on their squad. Right, boss, I can confirm. Riyad Mahrez likes to cut inside. Right, great reconnaissance, mate. We fucking knew that already. There was a chaotic goal in Zambia's game against DR Congo, as a goalkeeping error led to a throw-in, and it was punished in dramatic and hilarious fashion in the same game, and we've got a rather optimistic hit and chase here. I saw someone tweet this. Afcon's genuinely like school football. It's like everyone's running about with plimsolls on. That might have been an explanation here for a Guinea-Bissau defender being forced into a panic clearance with nobody around him. If in doubt, get it out. And this man was definitely in doubt. Equatorial Guinea had a unique celebration after grabbing their first victory of the tournament this week in the group stages. It was actually inspired by a meme that I've seen on the world of Twitter for years now. A brilliant, sensational recreation of this training routine. Meanwhile, for Tanzania, and they've been recruiting players from all over the gaff to make up their squad, including the lower reaches of English football, with representatives from Wealdstone and Ilkeston Town in the 7th tier. Now, someone who might have been wanting to return to the English pyramid was Jordan Henderson. He's left Saudi Arabia after just 6 months. Reports suggested that he was struggling with the culture, but in actuality, he was just fed up of Steven Gerrard. The guy speaks English and still can't understand him.
What's it? You want it? Tell me then.
There's also the reports that he may never receive his wages because he actually deferred them for a year to avoid tax hits. Jordan was fuming at Bobby Firmino as he saw the Brazilian laugh about going back to Europe in the knowledge that they both lost $4.7 billion. There's a small exodus of players now leaving Saudi Arabia, including Karim Benzema. As I mentioned, Firmino is unhappy. Sadio Mane's been with the under-21s. He's not training with them. That's just what he likes. And for poor Jordan Henderson, he didn't really get the response that he was looking for when he asked Jurgen Klopp if he could come back to the Liverpool squad.
Who's Jordan again?
Pause this whole thing right now. Who's Jordan again?
And so with that, he's heading to Ajax in the Eredivisie. Their Dutch fans thought it couldn't get any worse. Nah, I'm kidding. Jordan Henderson's obviously a decent player, but he's 33 years old, and he's also going to struggle severely attempting to learn Dutch. Meanwhile, for Erik ten Hag, and he'll be recruiting him for Manchester United after seeing the Englishman play for Ajax for approximately 3 weeks.
I need that. We need that.
Over in Spain, and Real Madrid won the Spanish Supercopa. They lifted that trophy after a 5-3 thriller versus Atletico Madrid, and then a comfortable 4-1 win over Barcelona. For the final goal in the Atleti game, and Brahim Diaz put the afterburners on to beat Jan Oblak in a race. Got to imagine that 200-metre race would be a little bit one-sided. Fede Valverde was getting flashbacks. He knew what he had to do in this race. Sorry, just muscle memory there, guys. Apology. And Real Madrid's admin couldn't quite believe it. During this one, Antonio Rudiger decided to try and distract Alvaro Morata by squeezing his nipple, and then celebrated Real Madrid's victory by squeezing Luka Modric's nipple. The guy is obsessed. He's traveling wherever he needs to go with force as soon as he hears there's a man's chest to squeeze. But for this one, obviously the Supercopa was taking place in Saudi Arabia, and Toni Kroos was getting booed every time he touched the ball. This after calling Gabri Vega's move from Celta Vigo to Saudi Arabia at a young age embarrassing on Instagram. He tweeted saying that the fans were amazing after the game. It's a shithousery award for the German. And after that victory, Real Madrid would, as I mentioned, go on to beat Barca in the final. But look, listen, on the women's side of the game, it's an aggregate scoreline, Barca fans. Don't worry about it. A 4-0 win, come back to... I don't understand, right, why Ronald Araujo is playing at right back and Koundé's at centre back, guys. Xavi's throwing names at a dartboard to make up his defence. There's no way you can convince me otherwise. Vinicius Jr. hit a Sundara in this one and scored a hat-trick within 39 minutes. Joao Cancelo looked traumatised seeing Vinny running at him. And the the Brazilian had words for the Barca bench as well, reminding them of the scoreline and how many goals he'd scored. Meanwhile, at full-time, Jude Bellingham spotted a flag that he wanted to grab and pose with. A GTA-themed edit for him, Vinny, and Rodrigo. A Real Madrid version of GTA would slap. Valverde violence. Former centre-back Sergio Ramos being a gunman. And Ancelotti just smoking. Meanwhile, Barcelona's funded GTA looks a little bit different. Now, in Italy, and Jose Mourinho has been sacked by Roma. This after a pretty poor first half of the season at Serie A side, and after a derby defeat to Lazio, in which he received his second red card in 4 days, and there was a scrap at full time. Jose was visibly very upset leaving the Italian side, but he was at least delighted seeing his nationwide account as the money came through after his sacking. Could this mean a return back to Chelsea for the special one?
Jose, we'd like to thank you for the trophies and the good times too.
Well, you never know, and it'll be a culture shock for Todd Bowley when he realises he doesn't have to bid £137 million for a free agent manager. Get Maurizio Pochettino out on loan, lads. And Nottingham Forest and Everton, and these lot could be in serious FFP trouble, as there's a confirmation of more charges on their heads. Arrest Everton immediately. How have they managed to mismanage their money like this twice? Dwight McNeil's going to have to start doing OnlyFans to fund the club. They're apparently using evidence of the valuation of players that they've sold, including that Richarlison should have been sold for 80 million, not 60. Listen, lads, if your entire argument is based on Richarlison being an £80 million player, you are done for. And for Man City, well, they've still got those 115 charges looming. The way things are going, they're going to be a completely different team at this rate. Speaking of City, though, they won in dramatic fashion against Newcastle with a last-minute goal. It saw the return of Kevin De Bruyne. He was back and fully firing, scoring with just his 5th touch. Start the depression train, ladies and gentlemen. They're winning 41 games in a row. Erling Haaland celebrated on Insta with a milk shot. The guy genuinely looks like a cartoon character at this point. His bones are depressed knowing that he's doing 1 shot of milk per year. Ivan Toney is back for Brentford after his first half of the season gambling ban, and then immediately went on the record saying that he wants a big move again. Just as Brentford tweeted about him being a king. He's not staring at the camera in this picture, he's staring at the Arsenal club shop. Are we sure he wants to stay, lads? Ivan has a clear message for Brentford fans as soon as a camera tripod comes out. Fabrizio Romano was spotted in an unusual habitat this week as one Italian Twitter user matched with him on a dating app. This guy is too dedicated to the cause to be dating anybody. He'll be heading straight out of Nando's on his first date when Anthony Gordon signs a new 3-year deal, chatting to a girl in a club about Villarreal's wingback targets. I'm afraid, Jessica, we just simply weren't able to agree on personal terms. What does that even mean? Goodbye. Meanwhile, Fab was here reporting on Bruno Guimaraes, but not to meet up with agents, not to force a move, simply to go on a trip. He's announced a mini retirement, for God's sake.
This was the one that couldn't fail. This was one that's never failed.
The Trent Alexander-Arnold did a shoot for Dolce & Gabbana this week whilst looking like a bouncer. He's going to have one answer and one answer only when he's asked to defend somebody. At Chelsea now, we've got fans brushing their teeth in the crowd. Listen, you can never be too safe. From K9s to, well, B9. The Blues are currently looking to offload their striker Armando Broja, but for a £50 million bid.
$50 million?
There was some more wholesome stuff, though, in the crowd as one Chelsea supporter at a young age saw his first ever Blues goal. Yeah! Now over in Dubai, and Mikel Arteta was living his best life at Salt Bay's restaurant. This guy is guzzling meat. That's crazy. William Saliba's going to be taken over in the dressing room after seeing this video.
Yes, I'm overriding your decision as captain. I'm leading the ship. I'm overriding.
Well, actually, to be fair, he's got a track record of meat experience too. Salt Bay himself will be present, by the way, if they do ever win the Premier League. In an Arsenal Academy match, and a referee had to be substituted after going down injured. At Man City, and there's the reports of Kyle Walker getting a woman pregnant, despite obviously being married to somebody else. This is probably the least surprising FTW news there's ever been, and Jack Grealish only had words of amazement when asked about Kyle's piping ability.
We were the best thing since sliced bread.
At Everton now, and James Tarkowski was getting swarmed. He had to call in for backup.
Look at the size of that fucker.
During this game, though, and a VAR decision took 3 minutes to decide upon. I mean, this is just mental stuff, really. What were they even deliberating? Right, okay, look, listen. How many points are we going to deduct this time? There's the revelation that Luton's manager is, in fact, Leng. I don't know what has gone on, really, on Twitter, but women across the world have found Rob Edwards doing a random interview after a game and have shown absolutely no composure whatsoever. It's going to be a different story when these women realise they actually have to go to Luton. Meanwhile, down at Leicester, and Jamie Vardy was dressed as Spider-Man. It's Jamie Vardy's outfit. Fuck's sake. There's no reaction here, by the way. Not scared in the slightest. If this happens to me, I'm going out on loan, mate. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, and we start off in Portugal. We're at Boa Vista. One player has even managed to catch the cameraman by surprise by spotting a goalkeeper miles off his line, miles in his own half for a free kick, and launching it over the top of the shot stopper. We stay in Portugal, though, for the second goal, and take about Rodrigo Salazar, because the Uruguayan has scored an absolutely outrageous screamer against Benfica in the league. And finally, the long-range stunners keep coming as we head over to the Netherlands and at NEC.
Zo! Wat een goal, zeg!
Now, over in Spain, and Barcelona are on the verge of having a new kit supplier for next season, as they are about to strike a deal with Puma, who obviously make kits for Man City, Borussia Dortmund. With their financial situation, they take kits being made by Primark at this point. At Sevilla, and they emptied Sergio Ramos's pocket this week to find a wallet, some keys, and also Mason Greenwood. A real punch to the stomach for Getafe, and that's just what Mason delivered. Yeah, it's a shithousery award for them, realistically. Meanwhile, at Real Madrid, and Jude Bellingham has got fans coming up to him and doing his own celebration at him. The guy, he's gone clear, man. Over in Italy, this isn't coming from Serie A. I'm not actually sure who's playing here. What I do know, though, guys, like, as a goalkeeper, let's not get complicated around here and just get the ball clear.
That's why he's the GOAT!
Meanwhile, in Germany, and Mainz's game against Union Berlin was postponed due to icy conditions and -8 temperatures. A cold day and a cold-hearted club, as Mainz asked for Anwar El Ghazi to fund his own replacement after they got rid of him due to his stance on Palestine. How about we fund you going out of business? Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, over in Brazil, there were mental scenes in this penalty shootout, as this Dawn absolutely launches the ball over the crossbar, only for the referee to blow as it's being taken because he's not happy with something going on in the background. That means he's got a second opportunity to do the exact same thing. Speed met footballing legend R9 this week and even got to hold the Brazilian striker's Ballon d'Or. This guy's rise to footballing stardom and meeting these guys is actually incredible. Only the ability he was showing out in the back garden when he was challenged to a kickabout, not quite as strong. At Pumas now, and we've got an engagement going on in the crowd as one man proposed to his fiancée in the stands. Nice of the club to actually commemorate that by scoring their winner in the 69th minute. Meanwhile, there were historic scenes for Palestine in the Asian Cup, who scored only their second goal in the tournament's history versus Iran. Brilliant stuff for them in such a tough time for the nation as a whole, and hopefully some level of distraction for them after war crimes that have claimed far too many. Meanwhile, there was more heartwarming stuff in the Netherlands with this, the greatest penalty of the year so far from one young fan at Pek Zwolle. Deal done. 17-year-old Mexican prospect Zinedine Zidane has signed his first professional contract with Chivas de Guadalajara. Listen, you can't fool me, mate. I mean, you can only do better than Zinedine Zidane's actual sons. The guy probably adopted him. Over in Turkey, and there was drama between Josh King and Michy Batshuayi, two teammates but clearly disagreeing over something at full time. Thankfully, I'm sure there's a Turkish owner somewhere who can run onto the pitch and separate the two of them. No, not like that. That's not what I meant. Meanwhile, at Istanbul, Başakşehir here, and remember what I said about keeping things calm and collected as a goalkeeper? Yeah, forget about it. Now though, for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, we've taken a little bit of a break from this glorious nation, but today we return with one of their legends, Adrian Mutu. He is now a manager after his footballing career and was managing in Azerbaijan with Neftchi PFK. Now with them third in the league out of 10, but a long way away from runaway leaders Karabag, the board decided that it was time to move on, time to sack Adrian. However, the timing they chose, not really the greatest. Not only did they decide to sack him on Christmas Eve, but they also sacked him at the same time that he went back home to his native Romania to attend his own mother's funeral. I mean, how much more brutal can it possibly get? Realistically, right, Romania, I wouldn't have it personally. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, closer to home, and Peter Odemwingie has had a rebrand. He's gone from a Nigerian goal-getting striker to an acoustic guitarist. Yeah, look, listen, this guy's turning up on deadline day, asking to join the 1975. There was a crazy match between Grimsby and Notts County in League 2 that ended 5-5 and saw an impromptu worm celebration, courtesy of a slip at a vital moment. Meanwhile, Reading, if they're not careful, could be heading for League 2 as well. Crazy financial situations and ownership problems going on in that football club, which are depriving their fans of a place where they rightfully should be. And those fans took matters into their own hands, charging onto the field, causing a full-blown pitch invasion and a match postponement against Port Vale. Things aren't going great for Brazilian side Santa Cruz either. They lost a penalty shootout, which means they won't be competing in their regional trophy. I can't remember how Brazilian football works, but basically, they're fucked, basically. And their fans held a special funeral for the football club. Things were getting a little bit too hot, clearly, for this dog who'd been brought along in the stands. Yeah, try VAR in that, you little cunt. Meanwhile, for this parent and Project Mbappe could be going a little bit better. We've got an intelligent selection of fans here who know exactly where the shade is in this stadium. Meanwhile, down at Warrington Town, and shout out their goalkeeper who grabbed a last-minute goal this week from a set piece. But mad enough as it is, it's not even his first goal of the season. In fact, it's his second strike, a prolific shot stopper. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now, this is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And around about this time of the year, unfortunately, you know, some of the Sunday League pitches around the country, they just really can't deal with the weather. You can never take a goal for granted, as shown by this forward going around the goalkeeper and slotting it into the back of the huddle in the 6-yard box. I'm suing the council, by the way, if this happens, because there's not ground staff, but I'm letting the council know that I should have had a goal here. On to the weird stuff, though, now. We actually stay in England, and down at Billingham Town, this is well down in the lower leagues again, and there's the revelation that they have a stand, which is quite literally just a bus stop. Look, listen, it's shielding at least 7 members of the public. That might be the extent of their attendances, to be fair, who knows? But it's one of the more unique stands in English football. I mean, there's parking the bus, guys, and then there's this, really, I mean. And finally, over in Azerbaijan, there's the strange story of Turan Tovuz. The 7th place side have taken the unusual decision to send a cake to every other club in the country. Yet, like, literally, personalised cakes have gone to everybody, right? They've not won the league. This isn't like a, oh, thanks for turning up, everybody. They finished 7th. They're a mid-table side out of 10. I don't know whether they want everybody to take it a little bit easier on them, or whether they've just pumped them full of calories to fatten up the rest of the league, but a rare bit of niceness in the world of football. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is @theofficialfng on Twitter, Insta, and TikTok. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.